And I think that's where the opportunity really is. It's kind of, so the sneaky way for me is that even my holidays are often around business.
Right.
So if I want to go to Sydney, I'll go to Sydney and I'll do fun things in Sydney, but I'll also go and meet people I know and clients and things like that. So it's always it's never totally on off, but it's always a marriage between the two. And it's kind of trying to work that one through as well.
Yeah. Have you heard you've obviously heard the term work-life balance, right? So I often had issues with that term, because work-life balance sounded very strict, like you have to have a work and a life, two very black and white components. And I'll be honest with you, for people that work from home or people that have their own business that they're doing on the side, there's almost a gray area in between. And you just have to have the flexibility and don't be too strict on yourself, because we don't live in a perfect world. So, I think the more regimented you are, the harder you're making it for yourself. So, just be a little bit forgiving with your times, have a bit of flexibility built in, and keep adapting. So just be flexible for change and don't be too rigid with your work from home policy or what you think it might be, because it's different for everyone else. And so
I'm not a big fan of having rules.
Yeah.
And rules as guidelines, not rules as laws, but so it's like, okay, I'm going to start at work at 8 o'clock in the morning, or I'm not going to work past 6 o'clock in the evenings, or I'm not going to work on the weekend, or I don't make phone calls with the family around, or whatever your guidelines are is the key to developing a really good, I don't like the word balance. I think that's actually, the problem for me around work-life balance is that it presumes that you've got two equal things that can be balanced. But it also is heavily weighted towards someone in a job, that it's job time, non-job time. Whereas I love what I do most of the time. Some days I hate it, but most of the time I love what I do. So it's not about balancing it. It's actually about, and it's the same with to be an elite sports person, it's not about having balance in your life. Balance is actually about mediocrity. It's about trying to have things be equal. But to be really good at something, you've actually got to be almost obsessive about it. That's not balance.
Yeah.
And that's why I think we've got to shift that conversation. I prefer the term work freedom. So it's like, so I love my work. So how do I actually love my work even more? And so that I'm actually able to do the work that I love with the people that I love, and I get paid and I can do it from where I want to do it from, rather than trying to manage it and squash it down into this little box just so I can have a balance between something else.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. Some days my best work is at, Friday evening, and my mates are probably all out having fun, but sometimes I'm doing my best work because I'm relaxed and I might be drinking some wine or whatever, and they're all the things you don't do by the book, but sometimes they're the best moments and where your best work comes from. And I think that's where having that truer choice around work and doing it your way, for you, I'd never work 8 o'clock in the evening past that, rarely even these days past 6 o'clock in the evening.
Right.
But I'm more likely to wake up at 7 and just start working. So I might have 2 hours done by 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Or my usual, you laugh at this, my usual is to do a couple of hours of work, then I go and have a couple of hours break. I'm either walking or riding my bike or at the coffee shop, and then I come back and work in the afternoon.
I'm exactly, see, and so you found a happy medium that works for you, right, Geoff? So same in my case, I might do a couple of hours in the morning, and then I can go into town and do some odd jobs or do some stuff in the garden or whatever, do some exercise. Then I might get back into work. I might have something to eat. I have a bit of a break. But I've built the flexibility in there. Now, there might be things I need to do during the day that just take me out of my business workload, but I come back in the evening and, I don't spend a lot of time watching TV, I'll be honest with you. And so for me, that's not a time waster exercise. I might check my emails. I might talk to someone who's in a time zone that works for both of us. For example, I might talk to people in the US or in Asia where they're a few hours behind. And so suddenly my 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening works out really well for them. I don't do this every day, but I can certainly put it into my time frames. and if it works, it works. So I think the biggest thing out of what we've been talking about as far as this work-life balance thing goes is be authentic to you. Like, don't worry about what other people are doing. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. It's hard when you see what other people are doing and you go, I want to be like that person. I want to be like Geoff. He seems to have it all figured out. But, maybe I'm not an early riser, and waking up at 7 a.m. doesn't work for me, or maybe some people wake up at 5, and they like to go for a run and they like to do all these things. Let them do that. If it works for you, great. If it's not you, be yourself, so just try to be authentic and put a schedule that works for yourself. If it's not working, see where you can make little tweaks and just constantly refine it. Be open to change.
Yeah, I think that sums it up. Applause. That's what I think. That's what I tell people. You've got to find your best way.
Yeah.
This one works for me. It might work for you, but if it doesn't, you're going to find your way. And ultimately, that's it. And it's the same about running a business.
Yeah.
There's no real manual about how to run a business. Everybody's got their version, and you've just got to find your way. I look forward to days where I've got nothing in the schedule.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I've got a free day. And it's not a free day as in I'm going to sit on the couch, but it's a free day as I get to plan it for myself. And that's kind of the control or creativity that I want. Whereas for other people, having free days like that would probably drive them nuts because they'd much rather have a schedule of things to do.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the research I did around productivity and exploring it for myself was I actually want to keep creating through the day. So the idea of having a schedule to follow actually shuts me down because I'm a creative. And what I've found works for me is I just need to go, okay, here's the activity I'm doing next. And I'll do that for an hour or whatever. And then it's like, okay, then I look around and go, hey, what's the next best thing to do? I actually want to be continually creating. And it doesn't, some days I go off course, but mostly if I check in, what's the next important thing, there's actually a pretty consistent line of thought anyway. I'm not going too far off. The important things get done, but it's very much, I know most people would go nuts with that approach, but for me, that's what works.